I am going to have to move that, but it's good for now.
I know.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
What up, everybody?
Karen Cherry. Welcome. If you are just joining, please go ahead and drop your first and last name in the chat so that we can have a record of attendance. Chef Chad, no worries. I'm gonna move the laptop when you get started. You can see.
Like, I'm looking at people's names so I can see y'all if y'all say something. Now, as we go through the demo, if you have questions, you don't have to raise your hand. Just take yourself off mute and ask the question. That way I can hear it, because I'm not going to be able to look at the computer once we start the demo. And guess what? We are 1 minute from demo time.
1 minute from demo time. We still have folks joining, Chef.
We still have folks joining. Do I need to admit people?
No, I got it.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
I'm all over it, sir. I've got it.
This is my wife, producer extraordinaire. A little bit of everything. She's keeping it all together. So go ahead, shout her out. Put that there. We're getting ready.
I think this is one of your biggest classes, Chef.
Yeah, facts. Okay. All right, good. We're gonna have fun.
Yeah, so welcome everyone.
The countdown is going, guys. The countdown is going. So we have literally less than a minute before we're gonna officially start. But as we do that, does anybody have any general questions for me or just want to say what up? I take that too. We accept all energy around here. Mm-hmm. You can just come off mute or you can wave, whatever it is you do.
Let's see, who do we have in here?
All right. Well, how can you make your screen bigger?
You can actually pin Chef Chad on your screen. So if you hover above the top right-hand corner of Chef Chad's thumbnail, you should see 3 dots. You can click on those dots and pin his thumbnail to your screen.
That's actually a great tip.
There you go.
So for everybody that didn't hear that, my wife was just telling you how to make your screen bigger by pinning the thumbnail of me to your screen.
Yes, exactly, precisely. And this recording will be available to you once the class is over. We'll go ahead and send it over to the folks at Aetna, so you will have access to it. So if you just want to pay attention, don't necessarily want to take notes, you can totally do that.
And if you do want to take notes and be the teacher's pet, go ahead, because there will be a quiz.
There will not be a quiz. You say that every time. There will not be a quiz.
That's a running joke for all my people that are with me. So welcome once again. We're officially going to get started right now. My name is Chef Chad Cherry, and that's cherry like the fruit. You can find me on social media, IG at that moniker, Chef Chad Cherry. You can also find me on Facebook at Chad Cherry and at Chef Culture with a K. You'll see this all day as we talk. But today, we are going to go in. We're going to do a really unique recipe. I'm excited about this series because we are taking restaurant favorites and we're going to flip it, right? We're going to put a chef spin on it. We're going to put a little sauce on it, make it do what it do. So if anybody here, right, loves spinach and artichoke dip, right? Spin dip. I'm going to show you how to make this sexy. We're going to step it up. We're going to step up the game a notch. We're going to do some spin dip. So this is not going to be your normal spinach dip, however. We are going to do a crispy shrimp spinach dip, and we're going to add some pita to it, some non-flatbread. Now, this turns this from an appetizer to a complete meal, and most importantly, it's going to be quick. It's actually going to be quick enough that we have a great opportunity to get to know each other better and talk. I might even be able to juggle a little.
No juggling.
Yo, she's so dry about that. One day, I got y'all. We're going to do that. But we'll have time to talk. And if you have questions, you'll be able to ask questions and I can go a little bit slower. Normally, I'm trying to get so much done in an hour that I'm like, all right. But today I'm gonna go into a little bit more because we have a little bit of time, right? I will say one more thing. Not only is this video recorded, so you'll have access to it later, but this video and others always get uploaded to YouTube at the Chef Culture page, so you can go and watch more videos.
And I will. Oh yeah, true. They can go back and watch the previous videos. You're right.
See, you know what I'm saying? This is what we do.
Look at you remembering things today. I like it.
I mean, I'm on it a little bit. So with that being said, ignore the background noise because every single time that we do a video, there seems to be a truck driving by. Why? Anyway, we have our components. Let's go over those briefly because we always have to do what's called mise en place, which is everything is in its place. So we have our naans, flatbread, right? Some people call it tandoori naan or naan. This is an Indian flatbread. It's really, really dope. We've got our onion, our scallions or chives or green onions, whatever you want, Parmesan, mozzarella, and cream cheese. And I'm sure you can guess what that's going to be for. Our panko breadcrumbs and our self-rising flour. Then we have our shrimp and our spinach. Okay. So in this dish, I know I said it's quick, but there's one thing that's going to take a little bit of time, and that's going to be our shrimp, because we are planning on frying it. So when you're planning on frying something, the very first thing you want to do outside of making your batter is you want to start to heat your oil. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my skillet on, right? Okay. And I'm going to put oil into my skillet.
What kind of oil are you using, Chef?
I am using vegetable today, yeah. Vegetable oil, vegetable canola oil. A lot of people use peanut oil for frying, right? Peanut oil is a little more expensive. And because we're only frying once, I don't need a super, super sturdy oil. I just need something that's going to get me there. And I mean, there's a ton of other oils you can use, but this is affordable and it works really well, especially for one-time frying. And if you notice, I did not fill up my pan. I went a little less than halfway because we just need to, you know, it doesn't have to be a super deep fry. We just need our oil to get nice and hot, and then we'll be good to go. So while this is warming up, we don't touch it. We forget about it. In about 10 minutes, that'll be at temp. And that temp means hot enough to fry. And then from there, we're good to go. Okay. So while that is frying, we're going to move to our next longest item. Can anybody guess what our next longest thing is going to be? I just said it previously. We're going to see if this is a class participation moment. I can't see on the computer, but.
Do they get class participation points?
Yeah, maybe they do. We should run some. You know what we should do, Charnel? We should run a contest one day.
I'm not sure Charnel's on this call right now.
No Charnel.
Yeah, we should run a contest one day to see who remembers concepts and really have some kind of prize. I'm gonna work on that. We're gonna see what we can do. But
we could figure out the next time we're down in Miramar and maybe drop off a
maybe
meal or two for the folks that
or something else
have class participation. That might be good.
Yeah, I'm with it.
We're not going to be back in Miramar for a second, but we can.
A week, just about. Don't worry about it. I got you. All right. So we're going to be working on our shrimp first because that's the longest thing. Our spinach is super fast, so we don't have to stress doing that ahead of time. But our shrimp has to be battered, right? And if you haven't battered something, there are several ways to do it. My family's from the South. So they're fans of, you know, if we're frying chicken, we're going to get a Ziploc bag. We're going to put the flour in the bag. We're going to season up the flour. And then we're going to, you know, shake everything in the bag, even with our fish, right? Simple. That's a one-step batter. A lot of times in school, they'll teach you about what's called the three-step, where you're going to go, when we have 3 bowls, where you're going to go flour, egg, and like a cream, like a milk, buttermilk, something like that. And then flour and cornstarch or flour and breadcrumbs or something else.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a way to batter stuff that is also, I mean, there's a wet batter. There's a lot of ways to batter. But today, I'm going to go through a vegan batter, right? And the reason why is if you're working with younger kids, you may not want to use egg, right? For them, just salmonella. Or if you just at home, less ingredients.
Yeah. True.
Money's an issue right now, so let's keep it simple. So what do we need for this?
Can you also go over, because I know you're going to make a variation for me later that's low carb. Why are you dancing? With scissors in your hand?
That happens.
It does happen often. So can you go over for me to low carb, right? Because what are you going to use for me? Almond flour or maybe no flour?
Matter of fact, if you want to run in, I think we have some, we might have some almond flour or something, but yeah, I got you.
Okay.
So,
because I know there are probably folks on the line that are like me, that they're looking for like the no carb. Yeah.
This whole dish is a lower carb option, right? Because really the only carbs would be in our breading
Mhm.
and in our pita bread. But
Okay.
you can control the amount of pita bread, right? And obviously the breading on the shrimp is actually minuscule. So
Could I substitute with instead of the pita, maybe like a corn tortilla or something?
course.
Okay.
of course, right? We can substitute this, and I'll talk about all the substitutions as we go. First thing is I have frozen shrimp, and a lot of times people want to defrost. We're not going to defrost. We're just going to cut, okay? And we're going to pour it right into our bowl, and I will show you why we're not defrosting. Oh, I said we have time today, so I want to show some things. This is 2130.
You come a little closer, Chef.
Here, let me come.
Just move it a little.
Yeah. So 2130 peel, devein, tail off. So let me explain to you what that means. 2130 refers to how many shrimp per pound. Okay. So this is the size of it. The lower the number. So 16, right? 16 shrimp per pound, or what they call U10, which is under 10 shrimp per pound. Those are called prawns.
Those are the big ones?
Big ones. The lower the number, the bigger. The higher the number, the smaller. So a lot of times people get 50 to 70, or sometimes the 91 to 100. That's per pound. 2130 is a good size. I got them peeled and deveined, but then I went through the extra step of getting the tail off because we're frying it, and I want you to be able to put the whole shrimp in your mouth and not have to worry about a tail.
But
So-
if you're price conscious right now,
If
is
you're-
the tail on, shell
Well, you get the
on,
shell on. You get the whole shell.
and you just,
You
it's the
just
same
peel
thing,
the
you just
shell.
peel it
It's the
yourself.
same thing.
Yeah.
So if you're price conscious, you get the shell on, and depending on what you do with the shrimp, it is so much easier, right? And well, not easier. It's less expensive, and it also is a lot more flavorful. So shrimp are still frozen. That's okay. You don't have to defrost them because our water and stuff is going to do that. So what we are going to do is we're going to hit our shrimp with just a little bit of seasoning. All right. I'm just going to take some straight adobo. And I'm just going to hit the shrimp with that. Right. You want to season your seafood anyway before you start using it. This is what I'm going to use for the frying, so it doesn't matter if I put this into the shrimp. We're just going to mix it around. When you put salt or something on anything that's frozen, it's going to extract the water. So that will actually help with some of the defrost process, but because of our next step, we do not have to defrost. I'm going to put this over here because I don't want to cross-contaminate anything, right? Shrimp is there. Next step, we're going to go with, now let's use some regular water here. We're going to make a slurry. Okay.
Slurry.
Slurry.
What is a slurry?
So a slurry is a combination of water and flour. And I probably could have just poured the water straight into the bowl. Sometimes I'll be getting fancy for no reason.
Sometimes you're a little extra.
Oh, yeah, don't judge me.
It's
All right,
okay
don't judge
though.
me. Get your bowl about halfway. I'm using clear glass bowl so you can see it. This is all you need. You actually could use a little bit less. Now the flour I actually will pour into the measuring cup just because I want to move a little slower with that. So our slurry is a mixture of flour and water. Now in culinary, slurries are used as thickeners. So if I'm making a soup, right, and my soup isn't thick enough, if I'm making a sauce and my sauce isn't thick enough, I can use a slurry, which is what we're going to make right here. Okay, so we're going to take the flour. I'm going to start stirring, and I'm going to whisk it in slowly. You don't have to go fast. All right, go slow, young sir, go slow. We're doing this to avoid some of the clumps. Even though if it clumps up, it's not terrible.
How do you know how much flour to put in?
I'm going to show you. So that's why I use this for this size bowl. This is about 3 cups. So I'm going to use just about this whole thing. I want this mixture to be slightly thick.
So like
Okay.
pancake batter?
Yes, exactly. You know what? That's perfect, babe. Like a pancake batter.
Cool.
Okay. And so we're just putting it in little by little to avoid the clumps. Takes a little bit of finesse. It's nothing too crazy.
This is a good step for kids. Like if you have,
Oh,
you
boy.
know, older kids, it could get a little bit messy, but it's just flour and water.
Yeah.
So cleaning it off is not going to be difficult. But if you get kids actually in the kitchen cooking,
Yep.
they're more likely to eat what it is that they made ask us how we know,
because that's a real thing.
because that is a real thing.
So,
We've proven it over and over and over again.
I'm gonna add a little more because this isn't thick enough. Let me show you what I want. See that? It's still a little clumpy. We'll mix it up. I want it a little thicker than this. See, that's still very watery. I want it a little thicker. So we're gonna add in a little more flour. Go ahead. Okay. Now, once again, I'm taking a lot of time because we have it. This is a super quick dish, and I really just want y'all to see the process. What happens a lot of time when people are uncomfortable cooking in the kitchen is because you don't know the technique. And it's not because you haven't seen it done, but sometimes we just rush through it. Like, I'm a chef, I've done this 1,000 times. This is nothing for me. So I don't want to rush through it. I don't want to rob you of seeing the process. I'm smelling my oil, so that means it's getting hot. So I'm just turning it down a little bit. Okay. I can feel this getting thicker. So this is a loose pancake batter, but you see how it coats the spoon, right? It's coating my spoon. That's fine. You don't have to go thicker than that. That loose pancake batter is just fine, okay? All right. Now let's go to our next bowl because we have 3. And this is gonna be our flour. This is gonna be our breading mix. Okay, so we're gonna put 2 ingredients. Well, we're gonna season it too. Put your flour in, about halfway. Now put your panko breadcrumbs in. Right, and I'm putting, this is my size. I'm putting 3/4 of that in, most of it in there, okay? And we're going to season it. Now, I have an all-purpose seasoning that I use, but I'm gonna show you step by step instead of just using the all-purpose seasoning because I want you to see it once again, right? We have time, so let's use it. I love lemon pepper. So this is a salt-free lemon that I'm using to start my seasoning, but I love lemon pepper.
Where'd you get the salt-free?
Salt-free lemon I got from Target. Okay, we spread a lot of that in there. Garlic.
So I noticed that your the garlic is just garlic powder, salt-free as well.
Yep, garlic powder, granulated garlic, no salt in this.
I
Okay.
noticed that you are
Paprika.
seasoning each level.
Yes.
Reason for that?
Yes. And you don't have to necessarily measure with your seasonings, but I want to take time. I don't want to over season it. So I'm just taking my time. I'm going each level. I'm going little by little. A little bit of black pepper. Not too much of the black pepper. Go light on the pepper, y'all. And then salt. I'm using some kosher salt. But the reason for that is so that, once again, I don't over season. There are a lot of chefs that tell you to not season your flour. Just season the protein. I wholeheartedly disagree. Okay, so season your flour. All right. Now we're just going to mix this up. And that's it. And we're done. So we just mix this together, okay? Now, this is all you need for your batter. We're going to get to battering and we're going to get to frying because guess what? We got other steps to move to and we want to eat. And I like to eat. So we're going to get going, okay? Let me get something ready because what I did not prepare. Always a truck.
Always.
Always a truck. When you're frying, you have to prepare a landing pad. So what is your item going to go into when it comes out? So I'm just going to use this little plate right here. That's beautiful. That's perfect. My oil is just about hot. How do I know if my oil's hot? We're going to see if it does a Harlem shake. So I know. Anybody from New York understand what I'm talking about, right? We're just going to take a little pinch of flour. Just a little pinch. Okay, it's just not really shaking yet. It's kind of, that's lightweight shake. We need a little more. So that's going to take a few more minutes to get as hot as we want it. That's okay. Why it is important to make sure that your oil is hot is because if it's not hot, all of what you made, and I want to season my shrimp a little bit more, y'all. If it's not hot, all of what you're doing, you're going to soak in that oil to your protein, to your meal. And you don't want that. We don't want oil soaked into our shrimp. We just want fried shrimp. On the flip side, when it is hot, the oil doesn't soak in and it just fries the outside. It's pretty amazing. That's how frying should be. So proper temp oil is very, very important. So now let's do this. You don't have to be super smart about it. All you got to do is just take the shrimp, stir your batter. This has gotten a lot thicker while it's sat. Just drop them in.
Oh,
Not
nice.
rocket science. You don't have to go one by one. We don't have to think about it too tough. We just take it, drop it.
I want to make sure that we pause for questions as you as you go through. So I'm gonna ask Chef Chad to keep moving, but to just, if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, drop it in the chat.
We like that.
Yeah. If
Or
you have
just
any,
unmute yourself.
you are such a man. I literally started by saying that. Feel free to unmute yourself, drop it in the chat, or just unmute yourself.
Listen, you're the better version of me. I know what I did when I married. I married up. I was smart.
You're hilarious.
It's being real, y'all. All right.
All right,
So,
let me check the chat to see if there are any questions.
check the chat for me. I'm gonna just pull these shrimp out. So look, right now for the battering side of it, you see how that's coated? You see how that's thicker? It's coated. That's what you want. Drop a couple in. Work it around. I'm using spoons because if you have little people doing this, this is easier way for them, right? But then when you go to take it out, use your hand. Just shake off the excess. There's gonna be a little bit of extra batter. Just shake that off.
So it's interesting because when you're mixing it together with all of the flour and the seasoning and all of that, it's almost like, wow, that's a lot of flour. That's a lot of seasoning, but you're really not going to use
No.
a whole lot of that. Could you save this
Absolutely.
batter later on?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, if you didn't, you know how tight my mama would be with me? My mom had Ziploc bags labeled. This was a fried fish batter. This was shrimp. This was chicken. Yeah, man.
So do you just keep it in the refrigerator? Can you freeze it?
Don't freeze it, but it will last in the refrigerator for an extremely long time. There are probably some chefs that'll tell you that it's better to use to keep building on the first batch, right?
Oh, okay. Like you're layering the flavor in there.
Layering the flavor in there. And so you don't have to, once again, battering it doesn't have to take a long time. You don't have to be really, really cautious. I'm just using the spoon. I'm using 2 spoons. But all I'm doing is as I take them out, I'm just using my hand to make sure it's coated and drop off some of the extra. So by putting them on an additional surface other than just frying them, it'll give me a chance to also shake off any excess flour and stuff that's on there as well.
Yeah.
So once again, any questions real quick? Any questions? I know you all are all experts seeing this. Anything? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep going then.
Well, give it a second in case anybody's like, sometimes people are a little shy and they don't want to say anything. It takes a second for them to get up the courage. So you keep battering. I'll be quiet and we'll just leave some space.
I like that. We'll just leave some space.
We do have a question.
Nice.
I saw it pop up on my screen, but it's not on the laptop. Let me see. Is the shrimp
a little faster?
Is the shrimp raised? Is it shrimp farm raised or wild caught?
You can use whatever you like. I believe this one is farm raised.
I can look on the bag.
Yeah, I believe that. No, I'm pretty sure because I didn't pay for the extra, so I got the one that was on special. I tend to shop like that to be more price conscious, but you can absolutely get wild caught. It's up to you. It's whatever your preference is.
Where would be the best place to get wild caught shrimp?
Best place? Maybe.
Is that what Publix has? Like if you buy it from the deli? No, right? Not necessarily.
Maybe a Costco, right? Maybe
Costco does
yeah,
have,
that would probably be the best place. And by the way, I think my oil is hot enough. I can smell it. We're gonna check and we're gonna start frying shrimp as we go. We're just gonna jump in here. Okay, that's Harlem shaking. Hold on, watch it. It's not a heavy bubble, but it's a good bubble. That's good, that's good. All right.
And what's your heat on? High, medium, high?
Medium high. So you see? So light.
And that's how you know it's not going to soak up the oil when it starts to really do that bubble like that.
Yeah, and I got to get this out of here. I need it.
So if somebody was doing this recipe or a different recipe and wanted to do it with chicken, would it be done the same way? This like
Exact same
3-step? Okay.
You would just have to cut your chicken. This is when I do the whatchamacallit cauliflower bites, the sweet and sour cauliflower bites. This is what I use. That's a vegan bite that we do, sweet and sour or buffalo cauliflower.
Oh, so could you just do the cauliflower the exact same way and then
Exact same way.
fry it the exact same way and add the sauce to it? That's great.
Exact same way. It's super easy. And that's why I wanted to show this, because this is versatile. Everything I show you is versatile. That's the goal, right? I'm not going to show you something that only has a one-time use, because I want you all to be super proficient in the kitchen. Okay, let's check these out. You know, when it starts to float, it's done. So let's see if you got some floaters. Okay, and we can fry while we do the rest of the meal. Shrimp is very quick. Well, that's looking beautiful. See that? It's not, yeah. We're gonna do as they say back home. Yo, I want the chicken wings fried hard. Okay, we're gonna fry it a little hard right here. I want my shrimp fried hard. Anybody from New York, they'll understand what I'm saying.
Or Caribbean. Well, I don't know if all Caribbean places are like that, but definitely my home is like that. Like, don't give me nothing that's.
Give me no soft. Yeah,
give me
nobody want that.
Yeah, I need to know that it's cooked.
Yeah, let's know it's cooked. All right, so let's clean up a little bit or move these out of the way so that we can start, so that we can prepare to continue to fry, and at the same time, keep moving our recipe forward. Okay, so I'm going to move things a little closer. Turn this way, and then we're going to do something that you see me do all the time. I've been touching shrimp, so I need to not contaminate everything else. So I had a glove underneath, right? Double glove. You always keep a glove on. And taking my glove off properly, I don't contaminate anything now, because I still need to use this utensil. We're gonna glove up the utensil. I know that's not scientific. Yes, that is a word. No, I'm joking. But it works really well. These shrimp are so light and crispy. Okay, let's get it in. So light and crispy. All right, so I'm gonna keep frying and I'm gonna keep talking. And did I just turn that off? Yes, I did.
So I know you've talked too about crowding the pan. Is this one of those instances where you have to be careful of crowding the pan?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. So because shrimp cook so quickly, you've got a little more leeway. You've got a little more grace. Okay. So I can take 7, 8, 9, 10 shrimp and drop them in. So we'll do 1, and you just wait for it to reheat a little bit. Wait for the temperature to come back up. Don't drop them in directly. 2. Hey, babe, can you want to grab me my charger real quick? Yeah, thank you. 3. And you notice I'm counting a little bit in between, right? In between. 4. This way, because every time you put something in, you're dropping the temperature of your oil every single time. 5. Right? We're going to put about 8 to 10 in here. This is going to fry for about 2 to 3 minutes. While that's happening, I'm going to start breaking down my onions, because we're going to get ready to do our shrimp in our flatbread. And then guess what? We're done. So I spent the most time, and I'm spending the most time on this, because this technique If you learn how to do this here, you can apply this across the board with vegetables, with chicken, right? With anything else that you're frying, and it saves you so much time. And it's just a great technique to know in the kitchen. This is just a great, great technique, right? So once again, I'm letting it get a little hotter. I'm gonna add one more in, and then we're good to go. And we're gonna move on while we're still frying, all right? So look though, look at how beautiful those shrimp are right there. All right, that's what I'm talking about. That's it. Okay, now my table looks a little crazy. So quick bit of table maintenance. When I play with flour, everything gets messy. That's okay. And I'm gonna remove this cutting board. We don't need this anymore. That was more so to make sure that I didn't accidentally cross-contaminate the other cutting board. Onions. So we're gonna break down our onion. I'm gonna show you how to do that really quickly while this shrimp is frying, okay? And I'm actually gonna move to the side a little bit. I need to get rid of this skin. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the butts off. I'm gonna cut the back. I'm gonna cut the front, right? Then I'm gonna cut it in half. So I always say, yo, cut your butts off, right? So that's the first thing we do. So back, front, and then in half. All right. Okay. Now in half. We do that simply, not just to remove the skin, but because everything that's round must be made flat. Real simple. Everything round must be made flat.
And then 2 reminders, if you haven't dropped your name in the chat, please go ahead and do that so that we can keep attendance. That is number 1. And number 2 is, if at any point Chef is doing something that brings up a question for you, feel free to unmute yourself or drop it in the chat because I am checking that as well.
Do not hesitate. So for this dish, we want to have diced, okay, diced onions. We want them really small. So we're going to cut them lengthwise, right? Then turn it and cut them this way. Now, the closer the cut, the smaller the dice. So I'm going to be real specific. So this is a little hard to see because I need to keep my hand in place to make sure that it's really, really small. Why do we want diced onions? Because this is going into a dish that you don't want to bite into a really large piece of onion. So these are really thin slivers here. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. It's really, really thin.
What kind of onions are you using?
Just white onions.
Could we use like the sweet onions?
The Vidalia,
like the
yep.
Vidalia onions?
Absolutely.
What about red onions? I mean,
yeah.
I know the answer. I
It doesn't matter the type of onion.
Red onions are a little.
Red onions are a little milder. So if you're not a fan of onions, hey, that actually may not be a bad thing. Rock with the red onions. They're a little milder. Taking these shrimp out, and I'm gonna let my oil get back to 10. Then I'm gonna finish those other shrimp, finish these onions.
So we talked about alternatives, right?
A
Being
little bit, yeah.
almond flour. We could also do this with cauliflower. I could almond flour the cauliflower.
You can almond flour the cauliflower.
Which would, so that would make this an almost wholly sort of low carb-ish meal.
Yes.
If I don't do the naan, I could do the tortilla, the corn tortilla, because I think like 2 corn tortilla are like maybe like
still less than
20 something. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're going to use 2 corn tortillas, roughly about 21 grams. So they're a little bit more than 10 grams of corn tortilla. And I want to show you something. If you were using like an almond flour and you didn't want to use the panko breadcrumbs, you can use some flaxseed.
Really?
Yeah, which will give you, it's a crunch. And this gives you the great omega-3s, the fatty acids that you need.
Okay.
Right? You can use this, just a whole flax or some ground flax. Just be careful that it doesn't burn. So if you're using flaxseed, you really have to take your time with your oil.
Yeah.
So you drop it in, you just gotta be flipping, gotta work it.
So would you recommend that folks take the recipe and just like modify it, find ways to sort of change it up?
Oh, of course. And then shoot a picture to me. Let me know. Tag me on IG. Let me know we right. I want my oil to get just a little hotter. That was okay, but it's not hot enough. So we only had to cut one thing for this whole dish, these onions. All right. We're gonna preheat our second skillet. And once and actually I can transfer that over here.
Okay, so we can see a little bit better.
So let me put these other shrimp in, and then I'll transfer, and then I'll show you. So actually, yeah, because I want you to be able to see it, because technically I've got enough shrimp done that I don't have to worry about.
Your son can fry the rest.
Yeah, yeah. If y'all didn't hear that, yes, my son is actively in the kitchen, right? He's 9, and we got him in the kitchen, teaching him how to do it.
Mostly because he needs to be able to feed himself at this point.
Oh, that boy can eat. That boy can go in.
All right, so I'm going to pause again for questions. If you do have questions, drop them in the chat or feel free to come off mute. If you have questions about this recipe or anything else that you've, any other questions that you have in the kitchen.
Okay. And I'm just waiting for you. I'm going to change my mind about the order of things while we're waiting.
Any particular reason?
Yeah, I want to do the flatbread. I want to do the flatbread first because my pan is going to have some residual juices in it once I do the what's it called?
Spinach
dip.
Yeah, okay.
So non-flatbread, when you pull it out, comes out, you get 2 of these. Okay, so they're gorgeous.
Did you get those from Target as well? Oh, Winn-Dixie, okay.
Winn-Dixie. So all we're gonna do is really, really, really simple. Skillet is kind of warm. Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah.
Skillet is kind of warm. We're gonna use a spray instead of an oil. All right, and you just want a hot skillet. I'm going to season these very, very lightly. So make sure there's no extra seasoning. You got to do that. Sometimes when you open your seasoning, the top collects seasoning and you don't want too much. So just a very light seasoning right on top. Very, very light, right? The bread already has a lot of flavor. So just a little light seasoning. And then as soon as my wife gets back, we're going to sear it. And you can do this on medium. You do not have to do this on high. This is a medium thing, okay? So let's go ahead and just check my shrimp. All right, 1 second. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm actually going to spray the pan and the bread.
It just allows you to use a little bit less oil, right?
A lot less. This is a canola oil cooking spray. You can use a lot less oil. This is something that you could use olive oil on. I know a lot of times we say don't use extra virgin olive oil because of the heat. It's not for heat, but because we're doing this really quick, you can use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil.
It's not like a deep sear or anything like that. It's not going to burn quickly.
Yeah, and to speed it up, I'm literally pressing it down, right? If you make a lot of tortillas or, you know that they benefit from the heat, this bread is the same thing. It's delicious out of the pack, but adding a little heat to it totally transforms it. So I'm just going to look at it really quickly. You don't need a long time. Needs a little bit more because I haven't gotten my sear yet. And then once that's done, we're going to remove it. So this part is going to take you all about 2 minutes, especially if you're pressing it down. No, I'm not touching the skillet. The bread is insulating my hand. I'm just speeding it up. I also don't have fingertips. So there's that too. Okay. Now, once you get a little bit of a crisp on one side, you see the golden brown here? That's a little bit of a crisp. That's what we're looking for, but not burnt. Just flip it over, let that side work. Let's go back and take out these shrimp. So they should be just about ready right now. Looking delicious. Oh yes. That golden brown shrimp, boy, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it. And I just showed you how to do something the restaurants do. So you can do this at home and have a great day. All right. Now that this is almost done, we're just waiting for the other side to get a little hot too. Don't press down this time because this side is still hot. So don't press down. You can lightly turn it with the tips of your fingers, right? You can lightly rotate it. Do not press down. You will burn yourself. That is hot. That needs about 30 more seconds. Then we're going to put our onions in, put our garlic in, put our spinach in, whip it up, and good to go. All right, let's pull this on out. That's done. See that? Finished. Beautiful. Okay, let's get these onions in here. So actually, instead of moving the onions, I'm going to move the pot to the onions. I need a little bit of oil, not a lot. Onions release their own juices. But I'm putting in, that was literally about a tablespoon. Just a little bit to help with the caramelization. My skillet's still hot. And it's still hot because I can hear that. I can hear the sizzle, right? Now, raw onions, nobody's friend. Add a little seasoning to it, okay? So I'm gonna go with roasted garlic because we always put a little bit of garlic. But if you don't have the roasted garlic, you can add a little granulated garlic to it, okay? We're going to add in, not garlic powder, just a little adobo as well.
Yes, sir.
I can do it without. I've got the butter. Yeah, we're okay. So a little bit of adobo. Our onions are going to start to caramelize. What we have to wait for is for them to caramelize. If we put the spinach in too early because we're rushing it, then your spinach will wilt and your onions will still be very, very oniony. And I promise you, you don't want that. Okay? But if we give this just 30 seconds without interruption, it caramelizes. It's beautiful. That's what we want. Our spinach is next. I'm using organic baby spinach. Okay. This is pre-washed, which makes it good for me. I like. And I have a hot skillet, so let me just drop some more shrimp in while we have it, and then put that spinach in there. We're good to go. I'll check our onions. We'll make sure they're caramelized properly before we do that. Did you see any questions, babe? Did you have any thoughts? Anything you wanted to add in as we get this going?
No questions right now. Does anyone have any questions? I know somebody is off mute. So I don't know if, does anybody have any questions? Let's pause right here.
Yeah. This is just spray. That's just spray, okay?
I think we're good, Chef.
Okay, my onions are just about caramelized. How do we know? They get light and they get translucent. That's caramelized. You can do this on medium high to high heat. You do not have to do this on low heat.
Outside to the right, across from the vending machine.
Okay.
Cashier.
I know I said spinach, but I'm thinking about speed.
You'll see a vending machine right across.
Hi there, someone's off
Someone's off
mute. I'm gonna go ahead and try to mute you.
Okay. So I know I talked about putting the spinach in next, but I want to get some of that heat to go ahead and just help out with cooking the cheese. We put cream cheese in this mixture. I am using a pound. At home, if you're only cooking for 2 people, you want to use less spinach. So that means you would only use half of the cream cheese block. Because I am doing a full pound of spinach, I am going to use the whole block of cream cheese. Keep in mind, if you're doing less spinach, only use half, okay? You don't need the whole block. For what we're doing, right? We need that, okay? All we're doing here is we're gonna start melting the cream cheese along with everything else. It just saves us a little bit of time. That's it. We're just saving a little bit of time here, y'all, okay? Now, normally when you're making a dish like this and you wanna do something with cheese, you need what's called an emulsifier. Okay, so we would need some butter to help break down this cream cheese. We're not going to use that. We don't need it this time. This is going to fold into this nicely, and it's going to give us a little bit of structure. We don't really want this to be a runny, right? We don't want this one to be runny. So we're going to let it fold in. It's looking good. I'm just going to pick up the pan real quick just to show you what it looks like right before you put in your spinach. So if you look, it's kind of clumped up a little. The onions are clumped up with the cream cheese, but the cream cheese is not a solid block. This is about what we're looking for, okay? This consistency.
And we can use low-fat cream cheese with this.
Yes.
What about?
Well, I use regular cream cheese, but you can use low-fat cream cheese. I'm working on the carbs. I ain't working on the fat today. I got to pick one struggle at a time.
Could you use yogurt? Ooh.
You could Greek yogurt, but why you want to do that though?
Yeah, I know that's a little far-fetched.
That flavor is a little different. All right, so now we're going to start folding in our spinach. Okay. I know that looks like a lot of spinach. It's going to cook down quickly, but it is important to add just a little bit of seasoning. Once again, light. Don't go heavy, okay? Cheese has a little bit of salt in it as well, so you don't have to do much, but you have to do something. So just a little bit.
You said fold, so you're not actually mixing. You're more just folding in.
Just stirring it, yeah. Shrimp cook, once this heat starts getting to, I said shrimp. Once the heat starts getting to the spinach, it is going to wilt down incredibly fast. And it's going to start to produce some liquid. So when I say fold, I'm trying to get all of that cheese, all of that stuff right over there. Now, I will tell you, this is a rustic spinach and artichoke dip, right? What you get in the restaurants, they take the spinach, and after this, they would put this whole mixture into a blender. And they will put it into a blender to make it smooth and uniform. But because this is meant to be a meal version, I wanted to have a little more mouthfeel. You guys know what I mean by mouthfeel? Texture is important. A lot of times you eat something and it's just, there's no texture, it's a little mushy. We don't want that. So we want to have a little bit more of a mouthfeel. You see how that's cooking down? When your spinach gets to about right here, we're going to add in some more, okay? We're going to add in another couple of big handfuls just to get this in. Once again, because we're adding more spinach, it is time to, once again, you lightly season. Okay? The difference with this time is now we're also going to add in some more cheeses. Okay? So this is our shaved Parmesan. Which is definitely acting like it didn't want to open. So I'm using shaved Parmesan instead of the crumbled Parmesan because the flavor is better. It's just a better thing all around. So add your shaved Parmesan. If you don't have shaved, you can use crumbled. Gotcha. Add your mozzarella. Okay. Got it. Add a little more roasted garlic. Don't burn your shrimp. Let's pull these crispy crispers right out. Hey, those are crispy. And guess what's gonna happen next, folks? We're gonna fold and plate, folks. We're gonna eat. Okay, I'm gonna stop singing.
Please.
I got the mental telepathy. I saw you giving me the sign.
The face.
You were giving me the face. That was that mental
Please stop.
command to stop singing. Okay. All right, I'm gonna move all the stuff we're not using. Let's fold this in. Oh, garlic.
You put a lot of garlic in this meal. Is it just because it's this meal or is it because you like garlic?
Both. But the fresh minced garlic is crucial for that final taste. Trust me on this, y'all. It is crucial. Now we have a lot of cheeses in here. So what do cheeses do when they melt? They get sticky. No, I didn't say that. Okay. Touching things. All we want to do is, once again, we just want this shrimp to wilt down, which is, you see, is happening. Spinach. I'm looking at this shrimp. I want some shrimp, y'all. I want to eat this shrimp right now. We're going to let this spinach, look at that. Look at how cheesy that looks.
That's great.
That looks phenomenal, right? Y'all see that? That is absolutely phenomenal. Now, once again, this is low carb, not low fat. And we didn't need any emulsifiers. We didn't have to add any butter to this. This is all we had to do. Guess what now? That part is done. You saw I put in all that spinach. It cooks down to this little bit. You can use, I'll actually, after off camera, I'm going to add the rest of this in, but I wanted to finish on time. Spinach.
Can I just add,
very small.
can I just add the fresh spinach to the bottom of my plate, put that spinach on top so that I get some of the raw spinach too?
Let's make it happen. See, I love how my wife thinks. I'm going to take my naan bread and I'm going to cut it.
Because I have to. It is necessary for my health.
I'm going to cut my bread, right? I'm cutting into triangles. Put these as my wings so I can fly.
You're singing again.
That part. Let's put a little bit of fresh spinach right at the bottom. Okay, actually, I want to do a little bit more of a base, right? So we get some height on this. This will be good. Ooh, let's go.
So pretty.
Let's go. I'm getting excited already. Okay. Now, if you want, you can put a couple of other fresh spinach leaves right on top. But I'm going to take the shrimp. We're just going to kind of go in over here. We're going to just make it do what it do. Have a whole kind of shrimp party. I think plane them down. Up. Sometimes with plating, it's not about like thinking about what works. It's more just about doing and just having fun with it. Okay, we're missing color on this plate, so I've got to add one more thing.
So this is a shareable plate. It looks like a shareable plate.
Absolutely.
So like if you wanted to make this as a party tizer or something.
Absolutely, man. Drop some tomatoes right in there, right? And guess what? We're done.
Love it.
I know I'm doing a little bit extra on the garnish, but we are done. I want you to see that.
There you go.
This is our upgraded spinach and artichoke dip with crispy shrimp and our non-flatbread. This is a meal. It is lower carb. Now, it's not fat. I told you, we got to pick one struggle at a time, but it's lower carb, so it's still good for you. And it is absolutely delicious. We use fresh cheeses, which are not bad for you. So,
and you didn't use, you said spinach and artichoke, but you didn't use artichoke, but that's because I really
don't like artichoke.
Like
you can use artichoke, and I also did talk about this. Do we have any last questions while we're still on? I'm hanging out. I'm doing some extra garnish. If anybody has to go, I totally understand. I'm just doing some quick extra garnish. I wanted to finish by one for y'all, right? Any other questions? Any other questions? Just playing with the garnish here. Just playing with it. You see anything there?
I don't see or hear any questions. We've got I'm sure it tastes good.
Well, if you go to the Instagram later, we'll tell you how it tastes. I know
I'm sure it tastes as good as it looks. Thank you.
Oh man, our pleasure.
Thank y'all so much. Thanks for joining today. We'll see you for next class. If you have any questions about this recipe or any other recipe, you can email Chef Culture. That is culture with a K, Kulture, chefculture@gmail.com.
And I'm Chef Chad Cherry.
You're welcome. You can follow Chef Chad on social media, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Chef Chad Cherry.
Chef Chad Cherry. Chef Culture on all platforms, though.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, family. We're going to go eat this and tell you how it was.